my name is Carrie and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a library haul. While I am back in my hometown, I went to the local library to renew my library card. And of course, since I'm here for about a month, I checked out some books. So I've checked out 10 books and I've grouped them together based on kind of the genre that they are a part of. I am not actually going to hold up the books because most of them say the local library's name on them, so I will just insert pictures as I discuss them. So the first one is Record of a Spaceborn Few by Becky Chambers. This is the third book in the Wayfarers series, and I read the first two books back in June. This one is a companion because it follows the family of someone we meet in the first book. I am pretty excited for this one because the third book was not available in the country that I'm living in, and this is the one I think I'm most likely to actually buy a physical copy of the library books that I have here, because if I don't get to this one, I love the series so much that I wouldn't mind actually going out and purchasing it on my own. The next one is one that I am going to be starting this week, and that is The Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the third book in the Daevabad trilogy, and this one is quite a chunker. It is 750-ish pages, and so I am definitely going to need to take my time with this one. I would like to finish this one before I go back because there is a friend of mine who kind of started an impromptu book club with this series. She has all the books in the country that we're living in, and she started letting some of us read City of Brass, and then we've been working our way through the series. I read the second book literally the day before I came back to the US. So this is my last one besides the short story collection, and I want to finish it while I'm here because once I return to the country that I live and work in, we are doing like a book club discussion in September for the entire trilogy. So I want to kind of read it now so that then I can be prepared, because I do take book clubs a little too seriously sometimes. So those are the only two that we're like continuing on with series, and they're both sci-fi fantasy as well. The next little subcategory is going to be graphic novels, and the first one is The Avant-Gardes. This is volume 1, and I am going to actually have to check who it's by, because I know the writer is Carly Usdin, but I don't know the illustrators. Yeah, so it was written by Carly Usdin, who did, oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of that series. Heavy Vinyl, I think. It's about a group of friends that work at a vinyl store, and there is like a secret organization there, and it was really fun. This one is about a girl who was on like an all-star basketball team and then had to switch schools, and at her new school, it's like an art school, so there's not a lot of physical activities to do, but someone is starting a basketball team and they kind of recruit her, which leads to her kind of finding a new community there. So this one was illustrated by Noah Hayes, colored by Rebecca Nolte, and lettered by Ed Dukeshire. And I do want to kind of give a little preview of the art style because it's really cool. So this is like the art style. Very fun colors. It's been a while since I've read a graphic novel because they're really hard to find where I live. So that's why I got a couple here that I have really been eyeing for quite some time. The next one is a little bit different in tone. It is Guantanamo Voices, and this was edited by Sarah Merck, illustrated by Gerardo Alba, Cassia Babis, Alex Biguez, Tracy Chawan, Nomi Kane, Omar Khoi, Kane Lynch Makinaro, Hazel New Levon, and Jeremy Nguyen, Chelsea Saunders, and Abu Zubaydah. And this is actually a nonfiction graphic novel that is recording the experiences of men who were wrongfully imprisoned in Guantanamo Bay after 9/11. So it's a pretty dark and serious look at injustices within the American like policing system, and also I'm assuming the prison system, the Patriot Act, things like that. That's when I think I will break down a little bit because I think I'm gonna need to spread it out across different days since it's gonna be a little bit heavier in nature, but we will see. The next category is middle grade and YA. So the first one I want to talk about is a young adult novel. It is a like fake dating romance young adult book, and it is You Started It by Jackie Khalilieh, who was the author of Something More that I read a couple years ago now. I enjoyed that one. I especially appreciated like the campy aspects of it. However, Something More landed a little bit on the younger YA side, and this book sounds like it may be on the higher end of YA. So I'm curious to see what the big difference will be in terms of the writing, the character development, things like that. In You Started It, we're following a girl named Jamie who is about to start her senior year of high school. She has dated the same guy for 3 years of high school, and when they return from summer break, he breaks up with her and then immediately starts dating someone else. And obviously this is very sad for Jamie, but it's equally devastating because she made this list of things she wanted to do with Cameron in their senior year, kind of like a senior bucket list. In order to make her ex-boyfriend jealous, she enlists the help of a guy in her class who is known as like a TikTok star, to kind of fake date her, and I believe they start working through the list together. It sounds like it's going to be a fun story, and I haven't read a lot of fake dating tropes in young adult, so I'm curious how this is going to play out. The next book I want to talk about is one that I'm possibly the most excited for out of the books that I'm showing you today, and it's a middle grade book called Not Quite a Ghost by Ursu. I found this through another booktuber. I cannot remember her name. I will link her page down below because I can vividly picture her face right now, because she always has really fun, beautiful makeup that she wears during her videos, and she reviews a lot of middle grade books. This is one of them, and this one really captured my attention because it is a like retelling of The Yellow Wallpaper, but for a middle grade audience, where it's a young girl that's moving into a new house, and it just sounds so good. Also, I love the cover art on this. It's just really cool. I'm thinking I might save this one because we're supposed to get some storms later this week. I think this would be the perfect night in stormy read. The last genre, but certainly not the least, is poetry. August is the month of the Seeley Challenge, where the goal is to read a book of poetry for every day. And I have enough poetry books on my shelves to last me the first 2 weeks of the challenge. After those 2 weeks, though, I wanted to pick up some from the library, especially ones that might be harder to find. And so I picked up about 5 from the library. The first one I'm going to talk about I've actually already read, and that is There Lives a Young Girl in Me Who Will Not Die by Tove Ditlevsen. This is actually translated from the Danish by Sophia Hersi Smith and Jennifer Russell. This is a collection of selected poems. I think they were selected by Olga Revin, who wrote the introduction to the collection, which was a really lovely introduction. The poems span basically the entirety of Tove Ditlevsen's career, and so you see all these different forms and these different styles that she experimented with, which I think is really nice for such a celebrated author and poet. It's good to see how their career really evolved over time. I'm gonna limit my thoughts there because obviously I don't want to give you like a full review, but this is one I was really interested in because I had requested an e-arc of it earlier in the year via NetGalley. I received it. However, I am someone where for poetry collections, I tend to wait to read them until very close to when they release. So I usually have a reminder like a week before they release to start reading it, and then, you know, obviously decide if I want to give a full review. Unfortunately, the week that this one was releasing, I had a really bad fall on my way to work, and throughout that whole week, I was really not feeling well. I was in a lot of pain, and I was going back and forth from doctor's appointments. So yeah, I completely forgot about it. And then when I was finally like, wait, I need to like check in on my NetGalley releases, it was already gone. So I use the library a lot for that, especially the library app when I'm back in the country that I work in, because there are a lot of books on NetGalley that I obviously try to keep up on. I don't request books that I'm genuinely not interested in, but there are times where I forget to add a deadline to my calendar, or there's times where I forget to check in on the app to see like, you know, okay, when do I need to download these things by? Because I do really struggle to keep track of things like that. And that's not even just a NetGalley problem, that's like a life problem. I always joke if something is not in my calendar that I will not know it exists. So this is one area of my life where I'm really thankful for the library, because it provides me the opportunity to still find those resources. And oftentimes I've ended up reading a book through the library that I had an e-arc of and then deciding, okay, yeah, I want to buy a physical copy of it. So I really like that opportunity to have a system like that. Anyway, enough about my love of the library. The next collection is Ask the Brindled by Revilla, who was heavily inspired by Haunani K. Trask, who was a very famous poet, activist, and author. So this collection was inspired by K. Trask's work and inspiration to Native Hawaiians, especially the younger generation that is still fighting for Native Hawaiian rights and sovereignty. So I was really, really excited to see that my library had a copy of this, because the library that had a copy in my system was a pretty small branch. So it was really shocking to me that they would have a collection that's a little bit harder to find like this. But I'm really happy for it, because this is one I'm definitely looking forward to, since K. Trask was one of my favorite authors that I discovered last year. I've really enjoyed reading through her writings, and it's definitely amazing to read and see other Native Hawaiians that were inspired by her work and are now having their own writings published in the world. The next collection is Quiet Orient Rot by Nathalie Khankan. This is a poetry collection that I kind of have difficulty describing because it is a very unique set of circumstances that led to this collection being published. The author is Palestinian American and was going back to Palestine to have one of her children. And while there, this was during, I think it was the 2009 attacks on Gaza. So this collection is specifically about this experience of becoming a mother in the middle of a war and what motherhood looks like in these times of uncertainty and fear. And I also think this is interesting because as I was flipping through this one, it is told in a very specific way. Like the structure of the poems is very rigid throughout the collection, and I'm curious to see why that is. I think this is one that is going to be definitely a difficult read. I mean, at any time reading about these circumstances are difficult, but considering the current ongoing situation in Palestine, I am sure that these poems are going to be even more relevant. The next collection is also one that I think is going to be a bit of a heavier read, and that is Ghost of by Diana Khoi Nguyen. This is a collection that is all about the poet's experience grieving her brother who committed suicide. I had an older brother who did not die by suicide, but nonetheless died when I was in high school. And so this is a collection that I really wanted to read for a long time because I think it's very rare to see or read about sibling grief, especially when we're looking at the variety of literature that is about grief, whether that be nonfiction or fiction. Very few of those options actually explore sibling grief. I think it's really important to support works that do show that perspective because it's something that people go through and it's something that's underrepresented when we think of media and resources available to people when they're grieving. And so I want to spotlight those when the opportunity comes. Now onto the final poetry collection and the final book of this video, which is Mad Honey Symposium by Sally Wynn Mao. I'm not gonna lie, I have no clue what this is about. I have no clue about anything related to the author or, any of the subject matter of the collection. I saw this in the library and it has such a beautiful cover that I just decided to pick it up. I'm hoping that the beautiful cover matches the beautiful poetry inside. We will see how it pans out. But that officially concludes all of the books that I have checked out from the library. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you have some great library finds in your future and happy reading. Bye.